Hi guys, Ronnie here. Welcome back to the channel. Take a look at this X bracing. Do you want to be able to build X braces like that for your farmhouse style tables? Well, you're in good luck because I'm making this video the ultimate guide to building X brace ends for your farmhouse tables. I'm going to show you all the tools, techniques, tips that I use to get a perfect fit like this every single time. I'm even going to introduce you to the double H and double T technique I use to get that extra perfect fit. So if that interests you, and why wouldn't it, right? Let's get going. So this is from two boards mitered correctly at the end. The intersections notched out at the right angle, so they fit together just like a glove. Perfect fit. Let's go to step one. Step one to get that perfect fit for your X bracing is to accurately measure the width and the height of your opening. Accurately down to the 1/16 of an inch. I have 12 inches width. The height I have 16 and 5/8. You also want to measure the width of the board you're going to use for your cross bracing. Mine is 1.5. Alright guys, step two is you use the measurements we just took to figure out the calculations for what angles we need for the mitered ends as well as the angles for the intersection. Now, I created an app to make it really easy for you. It's called Miter Angle Calculator. All you do is plug in the figures we just measured and it gives you the exact angles, it gives you the board length, everything you need to get that perfect angled fit. Let me plug in my figures and I'll show you how it works. Once the app is opened up, you go pick your board orientation. There's 5 to choose from. I go with the top edge to bottom edge. Then the next thing you do is you select imperial or metric. I'm going with imperial. Inputting my opening height, 16 and 5/8 inches. And then the width will be 12 inches. And then the board width is 1.5 inches. Hit calculate and it gives you all the angles right there. It gives you the board length you need to start out with. Now I suggest starting with a little longer board so you can feather your cuts down to the right fit. But that's it. Okay, step 3 is to get your cross pieces ready. So we know the angles we're going to work with. We know the length of the board needed. What I did is I took a 2x4, I ripped a thin edge off one side and then ripped two 1.5 inch pieces. So these are 1.5 inch square. As mentioned earlier, I made them a little bit longer. They're ready to go. The next step now is to set up our saw for the angle. Okay, first thing I like to do when setting up the saw for the cuts is actually unplugging it. Then I want to set up my blade to come halfway down the board to that line. That way, when both boards are notched out, they'll be even when they fit together. But as you can see, if I put this board up against this fence, it's not going to cut all the way down to the line. I need to bring it out so I can work the blade back and forth along that line. So how I do that is I got a couple 2x4s that I put against the fence. I actually glued and nailed 1x material to it, so it's 1.5 3/4, 2.25 inch out. So I put those against the fence. I'll put my board against that. That way, when I come out and I'm ready to do my notches, as you can see, I got an even cut all the way down to that line. Alright, now the next thing is to adjust this blade right onto that line. So let me show you how you do that. Alright, so how to adjust how far the saw comes down. I've got a little lever here that will fold down, and then there's a plunger here on a screw. You can see the wing nut that tightens it up. So I can turn this whatever direction I need to do to so when it comes down and hits that plunger, I know it's lined up with my line and it won't go past that. So I'll do a test cut on a piece of scrap wood, notch out, just to make sure my two boards are going to line up evenly. So that's all set up. Now the next step is to start making the cut on the ends of the boards. So what I got to do there is I got to make sure this lever is up. So when I start making my cuts, it'll go all the way down. All right, let's work on that first cut. Okay, next step is to start working on the first board, and what I always start with is the upper left. go down to the lower right. So you pick what face looks good on the board that you want facing out. I like this one. So this is going to go this way. My first cut is going to be up here in the upper left. So this face needs to go down on the saw when I make the first cut. So let's go do that. All right, so I know the degrees is 31.6 I need to set. I always set my saw to the right. And it's kind of funny with this example, my saw has a 31.6 degree preset on it. So it fit right in there. Lock it in place, ready to make the first cut. So now I'm going to turn it around and cut the other end. Remember, I made this board a little bit long so I could work my way down to the fit. So I'm going to get as close to the end as I can by making sure I cut the full angle. So let's give it a shot. Let's take it over to the table and see how it fits. So I made a series of feather thin cuts just to work my way down to this opening. And as you can see, it slides right on in. Perfectly angled cuts. I couldn't ask for a better fit than that. First board is down. Now what I do, here's what I do. This is important if you're going to be working on a bunch of these. Now that this is done, I mark my table ends. This happens to be 2 because I worked on side 1 earlier, but I'll mark my ends up here on top with a number. So this is side 2, and then on the end here I'm going to write 2UL for 2 upper left. So I know this goes on side 2, this is side 2, upper left. So it fits like that. When I'm done with this side, I'll put 2 upper right over here. That way I know that each pair fits in their specific space, because when I got a couple end tables going, you got 4 sides, you don't want to get your boards all mixed up. So that's just one way to keep track of that. All right, we're going to move on to the second board now. Now remember, the first board, the side you wanted out, facing out, you put down on the saw. Well, it's the opposite on this second board. We're going to work from the lower left to the upper right. The side you want facing out is actually going to face up on the saw. So I'm going to start getting those cuts down, get them to fit nice, and then we'll start working on the intersection notches. Okay, I made my series of thin cuts. I'm really close to the fit, but I'm going to show you something. You can see, right, this part hits first, and you got a gap over here. So I changed the degrees on my saw on purpose to get it like this, just to show you how to fix this in case you were off on your measurements a little bit or your angle. I'm going to show you how to fix it with my, what I called earlier, my double H and my double T technique. So let me show you about this. All right, guys, double H and double T. I know, what the heck is that? First, let's establish something. Picture this as a leg, right? And then you got your toe here and your heel here. The toe sticks out the farther, right? Farthest. So double H and double T. Heel and toe. Double H is heel higher. Double T is toe takeaway. So what that means, if the heel is binding up on the space like I just showed you earlier, then you need to bump your degrees higher. Maybe a degree or half a degree. Just very minutely, and make a shave cut and come back and see how it fits. If the toe is what's hitting first, you take away the degrees. So I bumped my saw just to make it off a little bit to show you how to adjust it. So the heel was hitting first, right? So now I need to go bump it up the degree that I had changed it. And then it should fit just fine. But that's the way I use to remember what I need to do, which direction the saw needs to go if it's binding up. If it's the heel, you go higher in degrees. If it's the toe, you take away degrees. All right, guys, so I made a couple of really thin cuts with the degrees bumped up a bit. And this fits, as you can see, pretty nicely. It's a little bit looser than the first one, but that's not going to be a problem once they're together notched out. So I'm happy with this. Again, what I do is I'll take it out and I mark this with the 2 UR, 2 upper right, because I'm working on the second side. This is the upper right. So I will push this one in just a bit so I can put the second one in. All right, so next step is to mark for the intersection. I've got each board in their respective spot. I got it clamped together so it'll stay in place. So what I want to do is come in here and mark it at a 45 or as tight as I can get it. Mark the line, both sides. You want to make sure you mark both sides. And then this one as well. And then we'll go to the saw and notch them out. Okay guys, before I go over to the saw to notch these out, I wanted to show you, I got my digital angle finder out. I got it lined up to one of the lines we drew, and it says 63.3. Take that away from 90 degrees and that's 26.7. That was what the app said it would be. That one's spot on. I'll show you how we start notching these out next. All right, I've got my 2 sideboards placed so I can have this out far enough for the cut. I put my lever on the saw blade down so it's only going to cut halfway through. What I want to do now is I want to line up the blade just to the inside of that line. I don't want to cut outside of the line. I want to start with the inside and then make a series of cuts, working my way across, and then clean it out. I'll show you that now. So there's the first notch, got it all cleaned out. My next thing to do, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, there's still part of that pencil line left. I started to cut on the inside, so I could see a little bit on each side of the lead of the pencil. So the next thing I do to check this notch is I will get my other board and I will see if this slides onto it, and I can tell it's already a little tight. So that tells me I need to trim some more on each side, and I'll just do just a very feather thin trim on each side, work my way to the edge of that pencil line, and then I'll test the fit each time after that. So I'm going to go make a couple of really thin cuts on each end, and then I'll show you how it fits. There we go. So this first one slides over just nicely. Now I'm going to work on notching out this second one. So starting out on the second one, I did 2 cuts well inside the pencil lines. I just wanted to show you the parallel spacing between the line and the cut. Those look pretty dang close. I've got my degrees set to between 26 and 27. 26.7 was the app, so I kind of put it in the middle, tried to get close to 7. I think that looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and make my series of cuts and clean it out, and then I'll show you how they fit together. All right, I made the additional really thin cuts on the notches, and these things fit together really nice. I've got my 2UL and my 2UR. So the next step is to see how it fits in the space. Just might need a little persuasion with the rubber mallet. There it is. It fits in really nice. Look at those nice tight-fitting miter cuts. You got the intersection here. Look at that. You can do this. You saw the video, it's not that hard. So it's fit in there in place. Now the next thing I like to do is I like to sand down, just bevel these edges on all four corners and on the edges here. I'll show you what that looks like here. How do you like that product placement? Well, that's because I'm very proud of my app. Go pick it up. The links are in the description. Look at that. You get nice mitered corners and intersection. This is what I'm talking about when I was sanding. Kind of just softens up the edges there, rounds them over a bit. I just like that look. If you like the straight look, then keep the straight look. But as far as installation goes now, I will, whether I'm painting or staining, I will do each individual board first, and when it's ready to put together, then I will put them together. I'll glue each corner of the ends, slide it in. I used to glue the intersection in the middle, but I don't do that anymore. I don't think it's necessary, but I'll slide those in, and then I'll just shoot some nails from the top down into here and in the bottom. Now if I have a wider apron on the top, I'll put a pocket hole on the back side going straight down, 3/4 inch setting, and then once it's slid in, I'll put a pocket hole screw down in to secure that on the tops. But other than that, it's really simple. You guys can do this. I was so determined, I built this app for it. So you guys, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next video.